What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Next Gen Podcast. I got my homie with here, Tyler Lesher, who's currently the head athletic trainer for UCLA men's basketball. Yo, I appreciate you coming out, bro.
Thanks for having me.
No, of course, man.
I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, man. Of course, man. You just, got out the tournament and everything, and
yeah,
Unfortunately,
Yep.
Unfortunately, I mean, Sweet 16, it's nothing to scoff at,
Right.
But obviously that shot was crazy.
Yeah.
It
sits right here in my stomach.
I know. It's one of those you can't really be mad because it was still a contested shot. It was also just a gutsy ass play.
Yeah, absolutely. They've ran that play before. They practiced that play. You've seen them hit that shot against Xavier. He's hit it 2 other times this year. So it's not a foreign shot for him. But
right.
Still at the end of the day, I like our odds when someone's taking a 40-foot jumper to win the game.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So.
It was wild. It was like I said, super gutsy, and then it just sucks. They just blew it against who'd they lose to? UConn.
UConn. I don't even say they blew it. I just think that's how good UConn is.
Damn.
UConn's good.
I watched the game, but
a lot of those dudes play defense. They're making shots right now. They are playing at a high level. So.
They're obviously, I think, the new favorites.
I'm sure they are. Yeah.
I'm sure they are. That's dope, man. We got a lot to discuss, but let's take it back for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I know your background. Maybe not everyone else knows your background. So let's talk about your upbringing for a second, and we'll work our way up.
Yep. Born and raised in Casper, Wyoming, small town. So just spent the majority of my life there. I'm a JUCO product. Went to junior college. Was originally, I changed my major 50 times, right? From radiology to nursing to marine biology to something else. And then, as I was doing all those things, I was studying in the athletic training room and whatnot because I was just a gym rat and that's where I wanted to be. And then finally, the head athletic trainer of my JUCO was like, "Dude, you just need to go be an athletic trainer." And I was also taking some side athletic training classes anyway, and they were easy. So it just kind of fell into my lap and just made sense. I was like, all right, let's just see what I got to do for this. And ended up transferring to New Mexico State. Got my bachelor's in athletic training there. Went to Chico State. The only reason really why I went there was so I could work men's basketball as the athletic trainer. So I did my master's there and was also a GA. And then from there, went straight to the Cavaliers. I was there for a year, and then the Hornets for 4 years, FAU for a year, and then now UCLA. Just finished my second season. So kind of made a big loop around America and hopefully here for a while. So.
Yeah, bro. Now you're here where it's shiny, man. I remember when you made that IG post initially before we even met. Mm-hmm. You made that IG post about you getting the position, and then Dre, obviously, who introduced us to each other. Mm-hmm. That's how I just hit you up because I was like, dude, he's coming out here, and he's got the experience. And if you're good with Dre, then you're good with me, So.
Yeah, Dre's my guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very lucky and fortunate to have this job. It's still very surreal that I work, with UCLA men's basketball, and it's hard to even say it's a job. All I do is I watch basketball all day, hang out with guys that play basketball, and talk shit with them. So I don't know how much of a job that actually is. Yeah. It's fun at this point. So
it's definitely a job. Shit, I pretty much do the same thing. I'm just doing it right now with the high schoolers, and it's great, man. Yeah. No, it's cool. Let's talk about. You mentioned the Cavs. Mm-hmm. So what was your experience like? What was Cleveland like? I've never been out there. What's all that?
Cleveland was actually way better than I thought it was gonna be. A lot of people, they talk down on Cleveland.
Right.
Just, it's pit hole of the league, whatever. But when I was there, it was a really exciting time. Cavaliers had just won the championship against the Warriors in 7.
Damn.
So LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, Channing Frye, Richard Jefferson, that was that team that was coming back. And the Indians at the time, Cleveland Indians, were in the World Series.
Damn.
So the city was just buzzing, so there was always something to do. it was just awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so obviously that was my first year in the league. That's when I always say like my professional education started. You know, you start learning what the pros do and what the elite athletic trainers and strength coaches and all them, what they do on the day to day that, you know, really nobody else sees, right? So, you know, I ended up going down to the then D League, the Canton Charge, to help them out as their assistant athletic trainer but head strength coach. So that's when I started getting like my experience with that.
Nice.
And just kind of going back and forth between Cleveland and Canton, working with both teams and just trying to absorb it all, right? Because I mean, once the season starts, I mean, it goes by quick. You're learning a bunch of different things. At the time, I really had no experience being a strength coach. I got my CSCS and like some of the other credentials just as a resume booster, and then, you know, I go there and they're like, hey, like, you're here to be a strength coach. So immediately just fell in love with the weight room again and learning how to program and, you know, and do all the necessary things. And it was awesome, man. It was, you know, it was just good experience seeing, you know, LeBron daily with his habits, you know, just everything about it. So it was a great experience. Wouldn't change that for the world, and definitely put me on the trajectory to get me to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So,
not for sure, but your first NBA experience and you're with Braun, that's wild.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool.
Compare, like, when I was with the Pacers, like, you know, obviously the star players, they definitely stand out. They're more, and like, look, I'm not going to compare. I worked with Victor Oladipo. He was a superstar for the Pacers at the time. I'm not going to compare those two because Braun is Braun. But like, as it relates to like first one in, last one out, doing everything necessary, Victor definitely was that guy. So and I'm going to always obviously presume that LeBron's that guy too.
Yeah.
But do you want anything to speak on, like, in terms of that, like, just highlights with him and him in the facility?
I mean, not so much. Yeah, I mean, obviously he has a high work ethic. Honestly, I try to spend my time around Mike Mancias, his trainer,
right?
More than anything, just and watch his habits
for sure,
and understand, like, you know, his mindset of what he does with LeBron,
right? And,
you know, how his approach is for his day-to-day care and his long-term care. Like, that was kind of my whole focus. I mean, LeBron's going to be LeBron, right? But I wanted to learn, like, you know, why is he healthy? Like, why is he his longevity is so high? And then as well, look at the other players like Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson. Like, those dudes had incredible careers.
Richard Jefferson particularly, for sure.
Yeah, long careers. Yeah. You know, like, why did those guys, like, you know, stay in the league? It wasn't just because, like, they were nice guys, right? You know, they're playing at a high level at a older NBA age, but they're staying healthy. So, like, that was kind of where, like, my focus was going through this. So seeing, like, what they did for their morning activation and their different routines coming in, you know, it was very much different than the young guys that show up right before practice and go, like, all right, like, I'm here, and practice and get out of there, right? So, you know, I don't really have, like, any crazy LeBron story. I've won, you know, I was watching practice. I'm sitting on the baseline, and LeBron's team's down, like, 6 points or something like that. And I think there's like 45 seconds left, and they're going back and forth. LeBron gets a steal, comes down, hits a three. Guy comes back, steal, and then hits a three. And then there's like 10 seconds left. The guy comes down, LeBron gets another steal, and comes down and does like his typical LeBron like dunk, right?
Yeah. And
he lands right in front of me, just picks me up from the hips like a child, and goes, "That's how you do it, T-Lesh," and puts me down the rest of the other court. And I was like, Jesus, that's a man amongst boys.
Yeah.
And I looked over and I said that to the Kevin Love strength coach, and he turns around and goes, "No, that's a god amongst men."
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, shit, that's exactly what it is. But yeah, cool life experience. You know, great. Overall, just an awesome experience being in Cleveland. So.
That was a cool visual in my head.
Yeah, just pick me up like a child. Look like Simba.
Yeah, he's Lion King to you, exactly.
Yep. That's exactly right.
That's funny. All right, that's dope. That's a cool story, bro. All right, so fast forward a bit. Obviously, you went from Cleveland to Charlotte.
Yep.
So, What was Charlotte like? What was the team like? It's a different dynamic for sure.
Completely different dynamic. When I went there, you have just two totally different owners and teams and, practice facilities and just outlook. So, like, it was really interesting. And then also when I got there, I pretty much went straight to the G League because I was the head trainer and strength coach and equipment guy and everything, right? Like, you get thrown all that stuff.
Yeah, the G League is tough.
It's tough, but it's incredible. Like, I recommend anybody get those jobs if you can get it, because that's where you're going to learn, right? You're going to learn so much with that.
For sure.
But, like, I was there for, like I said, 4 years doing all those things. And what I learned, what I personally took out of it was how to incorporate everything athletic training into the weight room. So, like, all my rehabs, everything, like, I started learning, like, just beyond movement is medicine, but, like, you really don't have to do that much table work if you can do everything in the weight room. And then, honestly, that's when I started to learn how to load people early on into injuries and seeing increased recovery rates and return to plays. It's not the same as just like, all right, the Rice principle or whatever. Like, that shit's out the window. It's like, let's move, let's load early and often, and let's get these guys going. So, and that's really when I started to, like, kind of refine my craft a little bit more and do that for the couple years, and then went to FAU, and that was 9 day different, right? Like, it was in the middle of COVID, so when I went down there, I wasn't able to visit the facilities, right? Because nobody was flying in there. The school wouldn't allow anybody to do, like, any on-site interviews, so everything was through Zoom. And, in my head, the only real schools I had been a part of was obviously, like, New Mexico State, decent facilities, nothing crazy, but, like, pretty nice.
Yeah.
Chico being a D2, you knew what to expect, but then, like, FAU is like Boca. You're like, damn, this shit's going to be, like, incredible. And the campus itself is, and then you start, like, looking at everything, you're like, all right, like, there's really not that much money that comes into these mid-major schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there, and I'm just like, yeah, like, this, it's not the best, but, like, how can we make it the best, right? Again, not a lot of the, like, you walk in the weight room, for example, and it's just all squat racks, and then, like, literally both sides squat racks and just red everywhere. It's like, that's it. Like, no dumbbells. They have the power blocks in between each ones or whatever, but it's, it's, like, very limited, very functional, but very limited. So it just goes to show, like, how awesome, like, a team like that is making it to the Final Four, right? With, like, very little, and then you got, like, UCLA who's got everything.
Yeah.
But I don't even really know where I'm going with that story now, but just overall, like, the difference of, I think mentally when I went there, I was like, this place is going to be incredible.
Right.
And, like, the kind of the culture shock of walking into a mid-major school and going, like, all right, like, you got to learn, because this place had less than the G League, right?
Right.
Like, learn how to work with these guys and get them to improve. And then also the big mental hurdle of the college coach mindset is significantly different than the NBA coach mindset, right?
Totally.
Like, I need this guy to play right now. It does not matter what, how, when, like, they're playing. And versus, like, player doesn't want to play in the NBA. They're like, hey, man, like, I'm not ready. Yeah. All right, cool. Like, we'll sit out the next 10 games.
Yeah.
Then that's how that goes. So, like, completely different mindset, right?
No, it's so different. Like, in college, they don't have a choice, and it's, like, super developmental, like, as it relates to training. There's, like, not a ton of load management, what I'm saying, or, like, consideration for it. There is, of course there is, but, like,
just not the same.
Just not the same, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, these guys aren't like standing corporations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Every NBA player is their own corporation. Like, they're worth so much money. It's just different. Different dynamic.
And then, I mean, just the pressure of winning, obviously, going from 30 games, or I guess, NBA's 82 down to 30, right? Like, I'll never forget it. When I got to UCLA, like, we lost against Gonzaga. It was, like, the big, like, blowout 2 years ago. I saw the NBA mindset. I walk in, I'm like, guys, forget about it. We'll dust this one off. We play again in 2 days. And coaches come in just losing their minds. And I'm like, oh, God, like, this is different. Like, even from FAU to hear, like, this is different, right? Just the importance of winning and how much is placed on it, and you after 2 years now, like I've absorbed it. I'm like, we're winning every game. Does not matter. Like we're winning every game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
From NBA to mid major to high major, it's just a crazy dynamic.
Yeah. No, you were mentioning that it was like, the pressure is way up higher.
Significantly higher.
And there's like, way more pressure to win and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's UCLA, man. I grew up down the street from UCLA, so all I remember is like seeing NBA players like walk in and out, like you know what I'm saying, like, I mean, shit. You had historical. You had Kareem, you know what I'm saying? You had Kareem and John Wooden, and fast forward, you got like Zach LaVine, Matt Barnes, and
now Jaime Jaquez.
Jaime, you got people now, Alonzo, Jaime, all of them,
Yep.
So like long history and that's what the culture should be like when you're a program like that. So no, it's dope. It's cool to be a part of for sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's you mentioned something earlier. I want to dive into this because we'll talk about some athletic training, or as it relates to like, let's call it like return to sport.
Okay.
Right. So you mentioned Rice is out the window. Obviously, like, I hope that's like, hopefully that's not like a hot take anymore. I don't think it is. There's a new acronym that I learned with Dr. Green over at Monarch. It's a long one. I don't remember what it stands for anymore, but it's peace and love. But essentially, like, that's the whole thing. Peace and love. It's the long ass acronym. But anyway, long story short, it's about like progressively returning to whatever you were doing before.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously like reduction of swelling is like first priority.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Within the first couple of days, and then boom, you're trying to load that thing ASAP, depending on what it is. But this, I know, like you're really active on social media. This was, I didn't even know Athletic Training Month was a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but
all of March. Yeah.
It was just Athletic Training Month, so I'm sure, and you did take an opportunity to like really be proactive about posting about that. So like, what's your mission with like? I don't know. I know you're starting your own thing.
Yeah.
And everything.
I think the biggest thing with like athletic trainers is obviously just gaining the national recognition that I feel like obviously I'm going to be a proponent of my own profession, but what we deserve. If you look at pay scales, like they're substantially low. Like the average pay for an athletic trainer for a person that has their master's is around like $46,000.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much poverty, for somebody who has their master's degree. You look at any other profession, right? You're looking significantly higher, 60s, 70s, stuff like that. So my goal is, and then we're also considered healthcare professionals. So what's a nurse make or a physical therapist with their masters, right, in comparison, and they're also healthcare professionals, right?
Right.
So more or less, like I'm just trying to push the profession up, like to just get, more like that pie, right? There's plenty of money that comes into healthcare, just asking to elevate my profession up.
Yeah.
You're seeing it more and more. Like I don't think that our profession has ever been highlighted as much as it has been this last season with the DeMar Hamlin incident.
Right.
There was a couple other ones that had happened where people recognize that athletic trainers are needed in the emergency situations, and then it's not just that. Like it's the behind the scenes work, right? You're not just standing there taping ankles and holding a towel, putting ice up. There's so much more to it now. There's sports science, there's correctives, there's developmental, there's psychological. There's so many aspects to it now. So that's really been my mission, is like just making it aware to everyone else, so that people aren't going to pay for what they don't understand.
Exactly.
Everybody knows what a strength coach does at a high major college. Okay, that's why they get paid a shit ton of money. It should be the same for an athletic trainer, right? Like to where you're making into the hundreds of thousands, like some of these guys are. Like you're seeing other strength coaches making $300,000 to $400,000, $500,000 working with a basketball team, and the athletic
not to
trainers.
mention football.
Yeah, we're not even getting into football. Right. Yeah, but the same athletic trainer for that team is making $80,000, It's like, well, I can make obviously there's an emphasis to get the guys bigger, stronger, faster. There's no question. But I can make a really big argument that they got to be healthy.
Right.
What are you going to do bigger, stronger, faster if you're not healthy?
Right.
So it's an old school mindset. It's obviously where like the universities and organizations place their emphasis, but it's just about acknowledging that emphasis and trying to elevate the athletic training to like try and get to that level, right?
Yeah. And look, bro, it's still, and like you should advocate for your profession, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But everyone should advocate for themselves. It's like it's a no-brainer. But also, just like strength and conditioning is like still a really young profession, so is athletic training. It's still super young. So absolutely. Like there's still a ton of room for growth for both of our professions. You know what I'm saying? We're like, versus like, I don't know, I can't think of whatever medical, like straight medical. You know what I'm saying? Like doctors and nurses, like that's not a new industry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So it's just about like spotlighting it. I mean, you look at California, for example. Like this is one of the states where there's no required licensure, and because of that, for instance, like there's a high school football team could be out playing right now, and they're not required to have an athletic trainer on site.
Oh wow!
So should a cardiac event happen, they're dialing 911, hoping there's somebody there to potentially help, versus having someone like me that's certified that can manage the case ASAP, right? So there's like little things like that still need to happen, but it's all about awareness. And with the power of social media now, like that's got to be the goal, right?
Yeah,
it's free advertising, free awareness.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. And I mean, being at the high school level, I mean, there's holes everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's like, that's a matter of obviously like awareness and funding and, all the things. But like, at the high school level, there's like, parents doing shit, you know what I'm saying? Just volunteering. So like, of course, they're not going to be qualified to do it. The school is just happy to have someone do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like totally different, totally different dynamic.
Emphasis.
Yeah. No, it's a totally different dynamic. Nah, bro, for sure. Well, excuse me. Since we're on this topic, you started your own cert recently.
Yep.
All right, ARC.
First class is in 10 days.
Dope. You got a cohort and everything, yeah?
Yep. Got my first cohort ready. Still taking up couple people to sign up, but I don't know if I'm going to do this like once a year or like push it up to like 2 to 3 times a year. But it's the advanced rehab certification. Pretty much pulled a bunch of athletic trainers, strength coaches, and physical therapists and said, like, what'd you miss in school? Like, what was an emphasis that you didn't get? And for me, it was rehab.
Right.
Like, there's no emphasis in athletic training on rehab. They say, like, you'll learn that in your clinical side. But, when you're doing your clinical side, you're doing your typical athletic training bullshit. You're making ice bags. You're standing there watching. You're cleaning tables. Like, you're not sitting there learning how to program and structure things and learn checkpoints of return the plays and stuff like that. So I polled everybody, and I think got like 500 responses, and 430 of them were return to play or like rehab focused or something like that.
Nice. And
it was just obviously clear like something like this is needed. So the advanced rehab certification starts off like pretty global, a lot of basics of like rehab, a lot of my own theory and stuff like that, and clinical expertise on rehab, movement, integration, tensegrity, and then strength and conditioning, and then kind of bridging it all together into a joint by joint structure of going like, all right, so let's just take an ankle sprain. Like when someone sprains their ankle, here's the immediate management, and then here's everything we're going to start doing to build them back up to return the play, right? And like I said, it's a lot of my experience and everything that I do. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the best at getting guys to play quickly, but my track record's really low for having guys sit out games. But I think a lot of it is working on tensegrity patterns and loading early and often,
Right.
And getting away from those old school principles that, again, like to grow our profession, we have to grow with our knowledge base. So, like I said, I'm nervous. I'm excited. There's a lot of people that are taking this class that are way smarter than me.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. But it's something I'm excited to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, just see how it all goes.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun, bro. You're gonna learn a lot, and then I'm sure you're gonna continue to tinker with it.
Yeah, just refine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's super fun, man. And like, damn, I was gonna say, like, talking about return to sport is like, I'll just say this. This is like, I think for you and I, super obvious, and this is why I'm really glad that you're doing this, because this is something that we really emphasized, like when I was over at my last employer at Monarch. Like, obviously we had physical therapy and strength and conditioning under one roof.
Yep.
And like we had this, like we created this like beautiful atmosphere where either a client will come to us post-op, or they'll come with us like with limitations, or they'll come and think that they're healthy, but once they do our evaluation process, right, PT will find that they're extremely limited in whatever it is, ankle, knee, hips, shoulder, spine, whatever, it doesn't matter. And whether it's post-op or whatever, or any of the others, we're able to create like this return to play or return to ADLs or return to training, right?
Yep.
And keep them in our environment, like we're able to really bridge the gap, what I'm saying? That's where that's what everyone needs to do. And I'm sure that's what watch out for that thing. What you're going to try to do is like really bridge the gap.
Yeah.
Between like whatever it is, call it injury, and then performance, saying like rice and resting, you're like, that's not going to help anybody, what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I mean, I call it like we all have like our umbrella, right?
Yeah.
And I call it like our injury capacity umbrella. And, you just got to do all your correctives to help support that umbrella, and then all the performance side to help grow that umbrella so that, that injury doesn't ever break, right? And if that umbrella breaks, you obviously drops back down. So, big piece of that, one of the things I want to do, because there's a lot of like high school athletic trainers that don't have resources, right? But give them like the little things of understanding, like everyone needs a baseline, right, of some sort. So when they come in, like you have something to at least guide this with, all the way up to like there's a couple professional athletic trainers that are in this, and physios where it's like, all right, you have dorsal V testing, you have all the sports science, the force plate, stuff like that. It's like you can utilize these things to then, make a more accurate data or judgment. At the end of the day, like it's all guided by this, right? And that's something that's not taught in school, right? It's not like nobody ever says like in strength and conditioning it is, but it's all based on maxes.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, like, why would you take a freshman that's probably never really lifted and say, all right, let's go find your max?
Yeah, no.
Well, dude, they can't even squat without weight.
Yeah, hopefully we're getting away from that. But, yeah, because one rep max is like, it's a really primitive way to do things now. Because you and I, our one rep max is going to change on a daily basis, right? Whether I get 8 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep, like that alone is going to, severely alter and influence the way I train and how I feel, my training readiness. So like for me personally, I've gotten away from prescribing maxes, and now I just prescribe. Obviously, RPE is always great, but also because some people don't even know what RPEs mean or what they feel like, or whatever it is. So velocity-based training has been like
VBT is going to be the next.
It's the move.
It is the thing.
It is the move for sure. Because now you don't have to worry about the weight. You're just like, I want you to move at this speed. And then the weight will take care of itself based on how you move.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm doing with the kids, and it's great. Like I just need more VBT. I only have one Tendo unit now. I need like 5 Tendo units. But that's another thing. Once I collect some money, and then I'll do that. But what I was gonna say, because I'm working at the high school level, I work. They have an athletic trainer. I work with her. She's overwhelmed. She's
it's probably there's 400 students.
Right, exactly. She's got all the teams: football, volleyball, basketball, soccer, whatever. So I've come in and like really try to take a load off of her, because I'm happy to, and and also I come from a collaborative space where I was before. So like I want to collaborate. I want someone to talk to and bounce ideas off of and do things together with. You know what I'm saying? So like something that I'm happy to bring is like obviously like I've taken the reins on basketball a lot because I feel very confident being able to take care of the boys. Mm-hmm. But also like we've like last season we've had like a decent amount of injuries. We had like a quad, we had a few ankles, we had maybe 1 or 2 Achilles, like no ruptures, just some tendinopathy.
Those kids getting
and luckily I was able to clean like the Achilles stuff. I can clean up because I have my own experience with my own Achilles, so I help them clean that up right away. The quad, that's super easy. Jumper's knee is super easy to take care of and everything. But the hardest one was like really all like ankle sprains is just tough. Like obviously like getting back dorsiflexion, right? Getting back just function at the foot. And then the biggest thing is like, okay, how can I tell this kid, or how can I get the athletic trainer to tell this kid or tell the coach or whatever it is that they're good to go? Like I can't just be like, oh, you can do a split squat now with 50 pounds in your hand, but it doesn't mean you're ready to play.
It's not indicative. Yep.
So like what I did was, obviously I have my network of people, I have my PTs, I have access to you, what I'm saying, whatever it is. This case in particular though, I took some of these kids to Monarch and we did some testing on the force plates. We did some testing with the Tindec, so we can do some like asymmetrical testing and see like how much, because I had a kid who hyperextended his knee, and typical timelines are like 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 10 weeks, whatever it is, and then kids just get like thrown back into play, whatever it is, right? Well, we had the Tindec, we had the force plates, and we had like triple hop test for distance, stuff like that. We had like this, we created this, shout out to Dr. Nazi, by the way. Mm-hmm. We created this like testing battery specifically just for the knees. Like I want you to pass all these tests, not just pass them, but I want like 90th percentile or higher. I want you to test that well before I give you the green light to return back to sport. Right. I was like, this is beautiful. This is great. So we did asymmetrical like quad, hamstring isometrics, obviously force plate jump testing, single leg. We did single leg hop for distance. It was just really cool to see like creating a testing battery so you can be like, okay, now you're good to go, as opposed to just like guessing and throwing kids or athletes back into sport.
Yeah, and that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Is having all that. And like, look, at the end of the day, there's going to be times where somebody hurts their ankle and you're like, dude, you got to play in 3 days. Right. Like, and you got to do everything you can to get that going. But, like they're you got to have that battery of some sort, and everybody's got their own.
For sure.
And I've always said this, but like I don't think that injuries are timeline based; they're rehab based.
Totally.
And with most like MD protocols and whatnot, they're like, oh, like after a labrum surgery, it's 6 months, or Achilles, like Achilles 6-7 months, and ACL 9 months. Like you're just clear. It's like. It's not how that works.
Nope.
It's not how that works. And one person's ACL could be completely different than the other person's. So, it's very athlete-based. It's not timeline-based. So I think just getting that out there for starters is huge. And then as well, like I said, you can take a lot of these guys and get them back pretty quick based on improving movement patterns, movement quality, and like you said, for like something like the ankle, it's like how much pain can you put up with? Because we can work around a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, pain's always going to be the limiting factor.
Right.
How much of that can you manipulate and change by improving the motor patterns or movement patterns?
Yeah.
And get them to play. So.
No, for sure. I mean, like an ankle, I would say this: an ankle is like. This is very general. I'm gonna go just start with that, but like. An ankle sprain versus like a knee hyperextension or whatever it is, like way two different beasts, I think. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like an ankle, like you said, you can tape that thing up and, it's not the best idea. Absolutely not. But if they need to play, they need to play. It's like ultimately not even up to us. Like if the coach wants them, the coach wants them, so you do everything you can. But like, at that point you're like, can you do, I don't know, you create like, I'm sure you have your own battery of tests for the ankle, but it's like, can you do 30 single leg calf raises, as a start, you know what I'm saying? On both, like from side to side. All right, can you do whatever X amount of hops from side to side, and then you go from there. You like whatever your battery test is, and then you can take them back.
Yeah,
man,
it's all different. But like even like you said, like the hyperextension is, I'm sure you're gonna have a little bit of a bone bruise, and the knee's gonna feel unstable. That's just because you get like that swelling within the capsule that kind of throws off your mechanoreceptors. But you can still again clean that up and get them out there pretty quickly. It's just the knee feels unstable. It doesn't mean it is unstable.
Yeah.
So. And a lot of that's just reassurance to the athlete and the positive reinforcement that they are getting better and having them have that growth mindset so that they know it. Like, it's all pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 100%. 100%.
No, bro. All right. I got one last thing to say, or two things. You know what? We'll talk about two things real quick. I'll leave that for after, actually. We're going to talk about this real quick. Okay. So, you and I have been in touch since you moved out to LA.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you've become like much more entrepreneurial centric. I don't even know if that's a word, but since you moved out here, you know what I'm saying? I think like you looked around, you're like, oh, there's money to be made. Not just money to be made, but there's influence to be had. There's like, and there's, like you said, advocating for yourself through social media. I think that's like, I seen your follower count go from, I don't even know, whatever it was, like 2,000 to whatever it is now.
Yeah.
There's definitely 5 digits on that. So
yeah.
I
think it's 15. I think.
Yeah. My guy's Instagram famous.
No.
If you're not following him, you're fucking up.
15.4.
Yeah.
It's more than I had a couple years ago.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. So like, obviously you've like, you've really been advocating for yourself. You've like grown your own brand business, you know what I'm saying? And now you put yourself in a good spot, like as it relates to just being a professional. Like can you take me through that, like the entrepreneurial mindset, like what changed for you and what you're trying to do?
I mean, for starters, kind of like we talked about earlier, like just with athletic trainers pay relatively being lower.
Right.
I mean, kind of growing up with that, and like I'll say this, like when I first got paid by the Hornets, dude, I was making $30,000. That's a very low amount for an NBA team, right? Like it's, but they can do it because they can get away with it, right? Because
they're the NBA, they have the leverage.
NBA, and if I leave, there's a million of yous out there trying to get my position. It's
totally.
No different if I'm at UCLA. If I ever leave, there's a million of yous trying to get my job.
Totally.
Which I fully understand and realize. So I think that we live in a really strange time period where like it's obviously really expensive to live. Like it's very expensive to live, let alone being in LA right now, right? To where a lot of people need 2 to 3 side jobs to support either their habits, what they want to do, anything like that. But for me, it was just like I came out here, and you look at a lot of people of LA, and like there's like big staples like Mike G, Mr. Do It Moving, Paul Favorites. Like there's like staples of LA, and I was like, shit. Like I honestly like I want to be like that UCLA staple, and be that guy when players come back and whatever, and just kind of be that dude for UCLA. So I was like, I want to be that staple. So how are you going to do that is you got to start working with other people.
Yeah.
Obviously, and networking and growing and kind of doing stuff like that. But then also try to like build up your worth, that you're only as worthy of what you think you are, right? So, you start taking on a couple private clients, and obviously just word gets around and stuff like that. But overall, like it's just like at the end of the day, we live in LA, like, and this is not cheap. And one day I would love to own my own house. With a yard so that my dog can go out, and like me and my fiance would be super happy, So it's just that like interior drive, that growth mindset of just going like, what can we do to continuously get better, hopefully stack some money, and whatever's next comes next, because I ask myself that all the time. It's like, look, you're trainer at UCLA, like now what, like what do we do next? Like when I was with the Hornets, I knew there was going to be a next step. Didn't know what, but there was going to be a next step. When I got to FAU, then they weren't in the Final Four and stuff like that. Not that would have changed anything, but it was like, well, what's next? Even when I was at FAU, I have no problem telling people like I was only making $50,000.
Right.
But at the time, I thought that was a lot more because that was $20,000 more than I was making it
Totally.
in Charlotte. But you start learning like, all right, it's way more expensive to live in South Florida. Obviously, place is paradise. So you start like having to find ways to support it and whatnot, and so you're not living paycheck to paycheck. So I encourage every athletic trainer, strength coach to do that. Like pick up side jobs. There's always somebody that wants to be trained. There's always somebody, like even if it's free, like you just never know who you're gonna walk into and start training that is a multi-billionaire, especially in LA.
Yeah, especially in LA.
You could walk out on the street, go to Starbucks, and meet somebody that has more money than God, and
especially where we're at right here in West Hollywood.
Sunset right now.
Yeah.
Like you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
And it could be someone. It's just all networking, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
having a growth mindset with networking, you just don't know where it's going to go at all. So, I mean, that's just been my premise. Was I just wanted to be that dude for UCLA, and then obviously just try and stack some cash on the side of it to then put me and my fiance in the best position moving forward. And just kind of go from there.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. You have a great platform, obviously with UCLA, like, and you're doing a good job of like leveraging that, and just keep
trying to.
Yeah, just keep doing your thing, bro. And then that's actually the last thing I wanted to talk about is your boy's getting married. So yeah,
married June 17th.
June 17th. Damn.
Yeah, very excited.
Cool.
It's been a long time coming. Doing that down in San Diego. Jillian and I are very happy. To do this finally, she's been planning her ass off, so it's gonna be a big day.
That's dope.
Big day. Bachelor party next weekend. Great weekend coming up. So
fuck yeah! Shout out to the wifey. All right, brother. Let's have some fun. All right, so we're gonna do the lightning round.
Okay.
I'll pick 5 random questions off this little list here, and your answers could be as long or short as you want.
Okay.
All right. Let me get your top 5 favorite artists. I know you're a big EDM head, but it could be obviously any type of music, but 5 favorite artists all time.
Yeah, Gorgon City, Odessa, Fleetwood Mac is up there.
Nice.
Camel Fat is definitely up there.
I think I heard of them.
And then probably Charlotte DeWitt, honestly.
I don't even know.
Techno.
You gotta put me on.
Techno.
You gotta put me on, bro. All right. Another top 5. 5 favorite athletes. Your 5 favorite athletes of all time.
It's tough. I'm a huge Kyrie fan. Probably Muhammad Ali. I throw him in there. Trying to think like just various sports too. Man, that's tough.
It is tough.
Yeah, you could say LeBron. LeBron's up there just because he's a freak athlete, and I loved watching him play and like seeing everything in person. Same thing. Like I'd put Jaime Jaquez. I loved working with him and seeing his development and growth. Obviously, most of these are basketball players. That's all I've really ever worked with.
Yeah, that's all right. It doesn't have to be people you worked with. Just
even
5 favorite.
Conor McGregor, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Conor McGregor. Shout out you, man. Big fan.
Damn. All right. Dope. That's a good list, man. That's a good list. All right. I love these like list. I love the list questions. All right. So you have a reservation for a table at any bar you want. Doesn't matter what the bar is. And there's 5 other people at the table with you. It could be anybody, like dead or alive.
Okay.
Who do you want to sit and have beers with?
1, my fiance. 2, Steve Jobs. I'm a big Steve Jobs fan.
Yep.
I'm gonna just embellish on that because I think that But he had the foresight of like what's in your hand and like what we have everywhere. But like back in the 60s, 70s, like he knew what Apple was going to become. And I really just want to pick his mind on, dude, like what were you thinking? You know, and like how did you visualize and conceptualize? Like you knew that we were all going to have handheld computers and that was going to take over the world. So I'm a big Steve Jobs fan. Honestly, my coach Mick Cronin, he's an incredible person in mind. Dead or alive. Steve, what's his name? Jesse Itzler, who owns the Hawks, and then Devin. I cannot pronounce his last name. Devin. I gotta look it up.
Wait, who was the one you just said before?
Jesse Itzler.
Who's that?
He owns the Hawks.
Oh, okay.
He's got his hands on a bunch of stuff. Devin LeVisque. He's just I'm not even gonna call him a workout junkie, but he's involved in so much. He's a health nut. He's super entrepreneurial. Works with like the all day running company, the Drink Super Coffee. Like I want to say he's a part of the Cuts thing.
Got it.
He's got his hand in everything, but he's super motivational for me. So I'm a big fan of his. So probably like those five, just because I feel like you could learn a lot from all of them. And definitely take that.
No, I love that. That's a good list, man. It's a good table. All right, I got a couple more for you. If you could relive one day of your career, which would it be and why?
Oof. One day of my career. I don't know, man. That one caught me off guard.
There had to be some good days.
I mean, there's some good days, but like I haven't won a championship yet or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and like we won the regular season championship this year by four games, so it wasn't like it was anything like too hyped. It was like, yeah, we won, awesome.
Yeah.
We're here for the natty, but when I was at Chico, we won the conference tournament. That was pretty big. I mean, honestly, dude, getting the job offer from UCLA might have been like the height of my career. That was big time.
That's a big day,
especially because like I was also talking to another university. I'm not gonna say who, but another big time SEC university, and they told me no like 5 days before that, and then
you were feeling it.
Feeling down. I was like, "There's no way I'm getting UCLA," and then one interview and call, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I'm going to UCLA, So that probably getting that call was an all-time high.
Yeah, no, hell yeah, it's a great day.
Yeah,
it's a great moment. All right, bro. One last one. Mm-hmm. You can go deep here if you want, but when things get tough for you throughout life or whatever, but like where do you draw your strength from?
Yeah, I mean when shit goes south, obviously the first person I talk to is my fiance.
Yeah.
She's like one of the best minds and most makes you see like all sides of the spectrum. So definitely her through everything, and then just a combination of like obviously like listening, talking with her through everything. I do a lot of self-analysis, like look in the mirror, understand like where your limitations are, where you need to grow. So like when things do go south, like where can I improve, right? Like the situation might not improve, like, right, shit happens.
Right. But
how can I be the most consistent form of myself? So I pair those two up a lot, right? A lot. It's I think a big part of this and is not having too high of an ego, just staying very level-headed, very cool, because shit's always going to go south. There's always highs, there's always lows.
Right.
It's just how can you be a very good, consistent version of yourself, So when things do go south, it's like, how can I control this? Obviously, talk about everything with my fiance so that I have somebody not to vent to, but to communicate with, and then take that and, pair with the growth mindset and see where we can get to. So, obviously, I have some other mentors and peers that I reach out to consistently, depending on the situation and whatnot. But overall, it's those are my two crutches by all means.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. Shout out to the wifey again.
Shout out wifey. Shout out Jill.
Yeah, that's cool, man. All right, bro. That's it. Well, I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Of course, brother.
Thanks for having me.
No, of course, man. It was super fun, and I'm excited to see what you're doing, man. You're doing great stuff, and I think you could, like you said, you want to be one of those staples. I think you're definitely heading that way, and you're definitely capable of being one of those guys out here in LA. I mean, I'm right behind you. I'm trying to be one of those guys in LA too. You know what I'm saying?
It is growth and networking.
Yeah.
This is the place for it. So it's one of the reasons why I don't know if I ever really want to leave, but this place is awesome for it.
Yeah, definitely a lot of potential. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Make sure to follow my boy. He's on IG at Dr. T. Lesh. And if you like the podcast, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.